Introduce what we're doing, Stu.
So thanks, Emma. We are going to break down the scene. We did a scene a little while ago. We had a lovely reaction on Facebook, and we thought it would be fun to maybe talk about some of the things we were doing in the scene. And it might be
the reason why we did what we did.
And also it'd be fun for us to discover what the other person was doing and why they did that.
Yeah, I want to know what you were thinking.
Many inquiring minds have asked.
Okay, so this is the scene where we it was just an impromptu rehearsal that we had that we recorded, and it was a couple who were making a big decision in their life, and yeah, shall we play?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say we didn't know that going in. So we didn't have a suggestion. Well, in fact, we'll talk about how we found our inspiration.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we took no suggestion from this and just began. This is how it began. Okay, right here, you took a swig of your drink, and I thought, oh, we're in a pub. So just you, actually, let me just talk about this moment, because I don't know where you were. Like, you were off screen, you were somewhere in your room, and I just pressed record, and I was just waiting for you to come back onto the frame, and you didn't know that we'd started. I don't think. Like, you sat down and took up your drink, and I thought, all right, we're in a pub. But if we look at your face, I don't think you started. It's nice to see you. Thanks for bringing me to the pub.
So, I mean, is that a face of someone that looks like he knows what's going on?
This is the moment where I think you realise, oh, Emma started already.
I mean,
like, you couldn't have known that you taking a drink was inspiring me. You couldn't have known that, but you only knew it because I initiated that sentence. Like, thank you for bringing me to the pub. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's when you know. Well, that's when you thought, oh, the scene started. Cool. And at this point, I didn't have a drink other than this stupid bottle of clunky water. But as it happened, that turned into being quite an interesting choice. Have you got anything to add?
No, I don't remember being surprised that we'd started. But yeah, possibly I was. But then we've been criticised for the gap, not criticised, but commented on the gap between us talking and us being in the scene has been quite hard to actually tell the difference. So
yeah, that's right. We were working on the note given to us that we should make early assumptions in our scenes, so that we were working on that particular note for this scene. Yeah, shall I continue? Have this conversation.
Well, this is where we met. This is where we had, some of our first dates. So
this is the moment when I knew we were in a relationship. So when I offered, thank you for bringing me to the pub to have this important conversation, at that point, I think what was in my mind was, well, it was a blank canvas. I thought we could be business partners, could be family members. I didn't know that until you said that we were in a romantic relationship.
So I'm not obsessed with establishing the who, the what, and the where. We can debate whether that's an important thing or not, but in our first couple of lines, we know where we are and we know who we are.
Yeah.
So then we're going to discover what probably fairly soon.
The Royal Oak will always be
our special place.
I think the Royal Oak, that must be a pub from my past, because that came to me really easily. I don't specifically remember a Royal Oak, but that was I always find it easier to draw from things that are true. And actually, there are so many things that we'll see while we watch this scene that are just, oh, that's just a thing from my life. That's easy. It's much easier for me to draw from things from my life than it is to invent things.
Yeah. And also, I was really cheering inside when you said the Royal Oak, because the specificity of it was just brilliant. I mean, if you had been in a relationship with someone for a long time and this was the pub that you'd first met, then both of you would know the name of the pub. But it just to come out the Royal Oak, it was like, yeah, that's like, the specificity was brilliant. And of course, that makes, for me at that point, it was like, oh yeah, great, that makes sense, that's brilliant. Yeah. Our special place.
Our special place, yeah, part of us, yeah, our special place, yeah. I love how you're just so good with everyone that works here and the regulars, and they've even started to accept me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, quite right too. It's been 8 years, so. Cool. So at this point, I was thinking, I don't want to talk about, I didn't want to get distracted down the rabbit warren of like the people in the pub. Like that didn't feel like that's what the scene was about. So it was it was great that you mentioned that, like these people, they've even begun to accept me is like such a good offer. But I thought on the one hand, I thought, okay, I don't want to talk about other people in this pub. And then I just added to your thing, like, well, it's been 8 years, because I thought this feels like a long-term relationship. It's where we'd first met. It was a special place. And so when your character said, people are just beginning to accept me now, I was like, okay, let's really nail how long we've been together. Did that make sense to you?
Yeah, definitely. And it hadn't even occurred to me that we would spend time talking about the other people. I just wanted to endow your character as someone who's warm and that people liked.
Nice.
So that was the extent of, it was always, these people exist, but they're in relation to you, and it's you that we're talking about.
I like it. Yeah, good. I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah, by you saying that, it did endow me as being a nice like my character is a nice, warm, friendly person. Yeah, that was a good offer. I'm just going to get right to it, but I want to keep it. I mean, I know there's risks. I know we're both over 40. Well, I'm over 40, but I want to be a mum. So I'd like. So what were you thinking when I said that?
So I was thinking about how Lloydie from the Maydays had told us to make assumptions, and also not to be too polite at the beginning of scenes as we try and negotiate what's happening. Because we're good at reading each other. We don't need to, mess around like that. And I thought, brilliant. This is high stakes, but it feels real. And this is what's going to propel the scene. I knew what the scene was about at this point. So yeah, it was a great offer. Thank you.
So when I said I want to keep it, were you 100% clear, like what that meant and what the context was? Did you understand that fully?
Because... Oh God, I 100% thought that it was a baby, but it could have been a puppy. Right. That's only occurred to me now. I think because we'd established we've been together for so long, it felt like quite a stable, strong relationship. And the seriousness, I think the seriousness with which your character said it, and the health risks and the age, it felt to me that could be the only option. Until now, it hadn't even occurred to me to suggest it was something else. I think if I'd suggested it was something else, I think that would have ruined the scene, because I think it was obvious what you were doing. And I think if I'd been watching this scene, you'd made that initiation, and then the other person had gone, yes, we must keep the puppy. I'm like, I'm out. I don't need this. That's nonsense. So I'm glad I didn't think of any other options that were worse than the ones.
Well, I'm really glad that because I just in the few moments before I said I want to keep it, my thought process was we're here for a really I opened with thank you for meeting me here for this important, I think I said meeting, but I can't remember, important anyway. Then it was like, yeah, we're in a pub, yes, we've been together for 8 years, this is our special place. And so my thought, having all that information, I just thought, one, I do not want this to be a breakup scene. And I know that you've said that to me subsequently as well. You've said, thank God I didn't want it to be a breakup scene. And I'm like, yeah, I was so on the same page. I didn't want it to be the breakup scene. And then, so then I thought, well, what else is the reason why two people in a loving long-term relationship, why are they in a pub to have an important discussion? What is that about? Not a breakup. And then I thought about pregnancy, because that's another kind of huge life issue for any couple, pregnancy. And then I rejected immediately the conversation about abortion. I thought, it's not about that. I don't want it to be about that. So what else is it? Well, then I want to keep it. Then that's the thing. And then I thought, well, and these are so minuscule, tiny instant thought processes that only take a millisecond. But then I thought, okay, so it's about pregnancy, and then it's just rooted in our actual reality, which is we are both over 40, so there are health risks. So that's why I followed up, I want to keep it, with I know that there's risks. We're over 40. Oh, I'm over 40. We're over 40. Just to double down on. That I'm talking about pregnancy, that I'm not talking about the caravan, the rabbit, the new car, the puppy. I'm not talking about anything that's trivial. I'm talking about something that's majorly important. So having made the decision or realized that I'm keeping it, is that became the first line of the offer. I immediately, I didn't rest, I didn't pause, because normally I might pause.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want any ambiguity. Yeah. I didn't want caravan, car, puppy. I didn't want any of that. I wanted the pregnancy, the baby thing. And the only way for me to make sure that you really understood that was for me to follow it up with, there are risks. I'm over 40. So that's so fucking like jam-packed, that thought processes. And in the meantime, you are just beautifully listening, just like absorbing it all. Which is so nice. You give me so much space to get all of that out, was just really just so peachy. But I was genuinely curious, like, did you know on I want to keep it, did you know on that amount of info that I was talking about baby? Okay.
In my mind, it was never anything else. I was amused by the idea of it being a caravan. So obviously there are risks, because we're both in our 40s, but you want to keep it. That also could have been a delightful scene. I wasn't going to send it in that direction. And yeah, I know it depends. If you're new to improv, or you don't know or trust the person you're playing with, it can be intimidating to play a scene which has this sort of emotional intensity. But we're not in either of that situation, so I can see why sometimes people would want to diffuse it with humor, but that's not really my way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm really glad you got. I think my first preference would have been to say, I want to keep it, and then not speak. But because I was concerned with cutting out any ambiguity, that's why I followed it up pretty quick with, there are risks, I'm over 40, and I want to be a mum, just to cut down on the ambiguity. But it's so interesting now just to hear you say, oh yeah, if I had just said I want to keep it and then stopped speaking, you still would have understood that it was about pregnancy.
Yes, and I would have said what I ended up saying, which we'll see in a second. But I felt that, yes, you've explained why you did that from an improviser's point of view, but from the character's point of view, I felt that it made sense, because you've known the news for a while, you've been thinking about this, we're meeting here, you'd have thought what you're going to say, and these were things that, as your character, this is at the forefront of your mind, and so yeah, you you've had all this thought and now you're getting it out. So it makes sense on both levels, I thought.
Yeah. Actually, that's made me think about another thing that was factoring into my thinking at this moment was the note that Lloydie had given us, which was for us as a duo to make assumptions quickly, because I didn't want this to be a I'm pregnant scene either. So I didn't want it to be the reveal. Like the story of the scene is not her revealing a pregnancy. It was, the assumption was that we both know that already. And there's just been this cooling off period of this, my character and your character, I guess, but my character thinking it through, thinking it through. And I think that's why I followed, that's why I, additionally, why I offered I want to keep it, rather than saying I'm pregnant, which is like, how many of those scenes have we seen? So it was like working on that note very specifically from Lloydie. It's like make assumptions. So the assumption I made was that you and I, our characters, both know that I'm pregnant. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because surprise is okay, but actually there's a lot more intensity in the way that we played it. So it was cool. And
then this is a beauty. So I recently, and I talked with you about this the other day, but I recently went on David Rosowski's workshop, and he said it's the second line that makes a scene. It's not necessarily the first line that makes a scene. It's the second line that makes a scene. And this is your second line. This is your immediate line. To keep it.
Good.
Yeah?
Good. Yeah. Of course.
Oh my God. Anything you want to say about that?
I love your reaction. That felt very real.
Proper genuine. Proper genuine.
Yeah. And I think, as you said, I don't want to be doing the scene. I just want, okay, so I'm really passionate about doing positive scenes. You know, we can do so many things in improv. Why? I think the positive, the happy is genuinely as interesting, if not more so, than the miserable. And I just see it less often. That's the thing. We've both been doing improv for a while, and you know, I'm sick of seeing the same scenes again and again. So it's really nice to be able to pick the unusual choice and to have that choice as the positive choice as well. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about your delivery. Like, it was so understated. It was so quiet. It just came in from under, which is, again, it's for me, that moment is just beautiful, because not only did you, it's not what you said solely, it is how you said it. I mean, so the typical move might have been, oh, great, yeah, brilliant, whoop whoop, awesome, all of it, right? But you just totally came in from under, very undercut, undercut manner, and I just thought that was so beautiful. So how conscious of you were of that, like in the delivery of that?
So I feel that my character had already made his decision, and that's what he wanted. And I just wanted it to be real. I wanted it to be, he's thought about this, it's a big decision, but he knows what he wants. And yeah, he's sort of quietly confident about it, I think. Yeah, just, it felt such a big statement that I could afford to underplay it. That's what I think was going on.
Yeah. Do you think, like, if these characters lived outside of this moment?
I think they do, but that's another story.
I think they do too. Like, I genuinely think they do too. I was going to say have them live off this page, but of course they're not scripted, so we don't have a page. But do you think your character, if my character had come to this pub, the Royal Oak, and said to you, I've decided I don't want to keep it, do you think your character would have said, please do? Like, because you've just said there, your character here is like quietly confident and wanted it, he had made his own decision. He'd come to his own conclusion about wanting it. Do you think he would have communicated that to her if she had said, I don't want it?
It's really hard to say. It's really hard to speculate the what ifs.
Yeah.
I think he would respect that it's your body and your choice. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what would have happened if we'd gone down that route.
It's interesting though, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah, this was a great reaction. I loved it. Anything else you want to add? Oh yeah, and my reaction is genuine. It's like, oh, like, so my reaction there is like, I think what I was thinking was, I think two things. One, me, the improviser, is going, yay! That was such a great, thank you for your second line. That was so cool. And the way you did it was so brilliant. So part of me, that's me as an improviser going, yay! And partly, I felt in that moment that my character was worried that your character was gonna say, I don't want it. So it's two things really, the improviser and the character having kind of a little, having a reaction. I genuinely thought, I think my character was genuinely worried that you were not going to be keen, but because you so beautifully kind of went, great. I was genuinely like, oh frick, okay, this is what's going to happen. You know, we're doing it. We're going to do this. So yeah, it's two. Do you ever have that where it's your character and your improviser brain like talking to you at the same time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are they in conflict or are they the same?
They're usually the same.
Good question. Great answer. Shall I carry on? I'm so relieved because I just thought you know, at this point in our 40s, I just thought maybe you wouldn't want to be a dad because it's like, yeah, it's a lot of energy and blah, blah, blah. But I just thought you were going to go, you know, let's take the other option.
No, well, it wasn't part of the plan. We both know it wasn't part of the plan. But
yeah. See, that was a great offer from you there, Stu, because you saying that made me think, oh, we've already had a conversation years ago in our 8-year relationship. We've already had a conversation about kids, because that is what people do in relationships. They will, in long-term relationships, people have those conversations. Do you want kids? Yes, no, don't know, maybe, you know, all of that. So by you saying that planted the seed in my mind that that's worth saying. Like, so I just started building on your offer there and brought in the next moment, I think, which is when I talked about our conversation that we'd had 2 years into our relationship, blah, blah, blah. But that came from, I think that was great because like my character said, oh, I was worried that you would say no. And you improviser, yes, that, and planted the seed that it wasn't in your plan, your character's plan, which I yesed by saying, yeah, we'd already had that conversation 2 years ago. Does that make sense?
I think I was just trying to establish a shared history. I think that's what I was trying to do with that move.
Yeah, which you did. It's great.
And yeah, I'm scared. Of course I'm scared.
Oh, that was brilliant.
I think I'd have been scared if I was younger.
What was cool about that? I'm scared. Of course I'm scared. Like, what was it that prompted you to say that?
It's a big step. It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, that felt, well, yeah, I suppose that drew on my real life experience. You know, because I've got kids and yeah, it's exciting, but it's scary.
Yeah. I wondered if that was, because that really rang true. I mean, what I loved about that moment was just the boldness of saying how you feel. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so awesome to be in an improv scene where the character, you know, the improviser makes a choice to be honest emotionally, and the character boldly says how they feel. I just think that's such a lovely gift in an improv scene. So I admired that move very much. Like, oh, he's just cutting straight to the chase. He's just cutting to the raw bone of the situation, which is, I'm scared. And I just thought that was such a good move. And there was a part of me that was like, I wonder if that was true. Like when when you did have your kids, was that, I imagined that would be a true feeling for you, that it is scary to have kids.
Yeah, definitely. And what was nice about the fact that you'd established that this wasn't a news breaking scene, this wasn't a surprise. Both our characters had a chance to think about things. And yeah.
That's great.
We have wisdom. We might have less energy than when we were in our 20s or whatever, but you know, we have more wisdom now.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it does feel the more we learn, the less you know. But you know, we know who we are.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm surprised that you thought I wouldn't want to keep it.
Okay, so this was me just pivoting a little bit, because I wanted us to be very much in love and I wanted us to be on the same page, but also I wanted a little bit more about maybe how my character really would feel, just to kind of like mix things up a little bit and just give us a slight shift.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, I've just literally forgotten. What did you just say?
So it's that my character was surprised that your character thought that I wouldn't want to keep it.
I'm so glad you said that, because it did exactly what you've just said that you wanted, which is just to pivot it slightly into back into the us, because my previous line had been a sort of persuasive line, like look at the upsides of being a parent in your 40s. You know, an upside is we have wisdom, and we know who we are. And so that was me being trying to persuade your character. If you had any little ickle doubt character-wise in your brain about being a dad, I wanted to come in with that positive affirmation or reaffirmation that we've got wisdom, we'll be all right, we've got wisdom. And then that was a beautiful pivot then back into the us from you. When you said that, I just was like, oh, that's so good, because it's so psychologically deep. Like, your character is saying, I'm surprised you thought that I would say no, which 100% is like shared knowledge of each other, isn't it? Like, the couple have knowledge of each other, and so therefore why would my character have doubted yours if we, you know what I mean? So I thought that was a really straight back into the meat and the heart of the us dynamic. I thought that was a really great move.
Thank you. And I loved your mention of wisdom, because I think that set us on an entire strand of the rest of the scene, as we will see about wisdom and philosophy and life and things like that. So I think that's the moment when you introduced that, I think something went off in my head and I'm like, okay, I think I know what we're going to do a bit later on.
I'm so impressed with that, because like one just says stuff in improv scenes without realizing, unless you're reflecting on it like we are, like you don't fully realize that one little thing, flagging up the wisdom idea, it informs the entire game within the scene. Like, this is a serious scene, but there is a little game within the scene that we were playing. But it's so interesting to hear that was where it was sparked. I hadn't realized that. That was so cool. I think that the beginning of this scene is so interesting because I think you hold you hold the heart of the us in this beginning section. Like, I'm scared. I'm surprised you thought I wouldn't want it. Like, that's very, like, for me, that's like resides in a kind of heart place that's the feelings part of a relationship. I mean, I think I had that a little bit at the beginning with the, I want to keep it, I want to be a mum. That's a heart statement. But I think you held the heart and I held the plot a little bit in this opening sort of, I don't know, this is only 2.5 minutes in, but it's like you've held the heart and I've held the plot just a little bit. I mean, there's segues and stuff, but I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I think you were doing a lot of the work. And I was just reacting emotionally, so that's
but it's so cool. Yeah, like that is so cool though, isn't it? Because it's like, yeah, I love that as improvisers we're taking responsibility for different aspects. And like, none of this is conscious. Like, none of us are in the scene going, oh, I'm going to take care of the plot now. And you're thinking, well, I'm going to take care of the emotional heart of the piece right now. Like, don't.
It's weird because those are how our voices speak in our heads. But apart from that, it was entirely accurate.
That's how I have a posh actor's voice in my head saying,
really?
Yes, that's what we're going to do. But no, it's just beautifully sort of subconscious. That subconsciously, that's what we've been doing, which is it's just really nice, complimentary.
Well, I just remember that first, like, the conversation that we had. Actually, it was here in the Royal Oak. I just remember that conversation. Like, I think we were about 2 years in, and we had that conversation about kids, and you were like, it's not really, you said you didn't really see that in your life plan and all of that. And at that point, I was like, yeah, actually, me too. I mean, I wasn't that bothered, but now it's happened, obviously.
Yeah, that's so funny. Because that's a direct quote from my own life as well. Like when you bring your own experiences in, But I've had those conversations with relationships before about, do you want kids? Oh, I don't see that as in my life plan. Oh, okay. So it is amazing how like you do bring stuff from your own life. It might be kind of morphed or changed or adapted, but you bring yourself to the scene, don't you?
Definitely, and there was a lot. I don't think I actually had to invent anything in this scene. I think it's all just pulled from life.
Yeah, that's cool.
Changes everything.
Yeah, and I think I was wrong then. I don't know. I mean, you know me and my opinions on existentialism.
So I just to dig into that moment just before the game starts, like, how often do you do that in scenes, or how often have you done that before when your character has admitted they're wrong?
I think I'm okay to admit that I'm wrong.
Yeah, because I just think that was I just think that was such a great move, because it felt unusual to me. It felt unusual that that in the moment in a scene, a character admits that their younger self hadn't held an opinion that their older self currently doesn't agree with. So admitting that you're wrong. I think I was wrong about that. It felt really considered and reflective. Like, this character is reflecting upon where he is right now to where he was however many years ago when they had that conversation. But I just think it's unusual to hear characters admit that they were wrong.
I think it was psychologically much more interesting to do that than to go, yes, this is what I always wanted. That would have been all right. But, people do change, and they do change their minds, or they should do, as they grow older. So I just kind of wanted to reflect that. I just, what made me laugh, and I'm laughing at something I said now, so I don't know if that reflects well on me, but you know my opinions on existentialism. Where did that come from? I don't know. I think it perhaps was the wisdom thing. And university, I was very interested in existentialism. I did my dissertation on Camus and Sartre, but I haven't really thought about it for quite a long time. So it was like, I don't know. I think I was probably as surprised as anyone when that came out.
It was really fun. Well, one, I think you were establishing a shared understanding of each other. Like, you know how I feel about X, blah, whatever that is. It establishes a common ground, like a shared understanding of each other, which we have. If we're in a long-term relationship with someone, we have a shared understanding of how the other person ticks and what they think about and how they think and what their principles are. So I think you were just bringing that onto the table, like as a kind of, this is our shared knowledge of each other,
yes.
which is it's a brilliant move, because it just layers in. I think just prior to this, I'd said, I remember that conversation we had in this pub 2 years ago. So we are talking about a shared history of each other. But and as to the existentialism, it popped out clearly because it is actually what you wrote your dissertation on, which I didn't know until just this minute. But when you said it, I was like, because I also studied philosophy for my degree.
I did not know that.
Yeah, right. So I got my degree in philosophy. And so when you said existentialism, I was like, oh, this is brilliant, because it is, although a long time ago, I have knowledge of what existentialism is because I also studied that at university.
So I didn't know that, but I knew that I could throw that in and it wouldn't frighten you. I knew that, I didn't know that you actually had explicit knowledge about it, but I thought, yeah, she's a clever girl.
Yeah. Would you hesitate in throwing in references like that with other people?
That's a really good question. Yes, I probably would. I don't know. It's nice if you know somebody is going to. Okay, so what I try and do with people when I improvise with them is I try and delight them, try and give them things that are going to bring them joy. And if I'm performing with somebody who I think is going to enjoy talking about existentialism or enjoy not knowing about existentialism, then I would chuck it in. But I perhaps wouldn't do that normally.
Yeah, it is a bit out there. I mean, the chances are that I might not have known anything at all about it.
Also, there's a certain amount of joy at chucking you into subjects that you don't know about, and I do enjoy doing that. So you did better about existentialism than you did Star Trek Deep Space Nine, but that's fine.
Yeah. And if you throw me sci-fi or maths or science, I am screwed, but I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it because I'm just going to make that shit up. But as it happened, I did know a little bit about philosophy. Yeah, what was your thinking though about that though? Because my thoughts about existentialism.
I think it was just that.
This was about meaning, wasn't it? About meaning.
Yeah, I think it's just I wanted it to be this couple have had this conversation. This isn't the first. It wasn't me going, "Are you aware of existentialism?" Essentially, we are. It wasn't that. It was like we've talked about this. Yeah. We've had this conversation a lot, and it was once again leaning into that shared history. I think.
Yeah, that makes total sense. It also led to this beautiful. I mean, I think that fed into the rest of the scene as well, in the way that wisdom fed into the scene. I think your philosophy on life, your character's philosophy on life, fed into the scene about where do we place meaning in what is the meaning of life, all of that, which is nihilism, it's existentialism, what is our purpose to be on this planet is something that many people think about a lot, but clearly your character does.
And also I think even more so when you're bringing a baby into the world. I think that's partly it. It's like, I've always thought about these things, but I'm really thinking about these things now.
And was that the case in your actual life as well? Like when you did have your kids, did it make you think about purpose and meaning?
I think so. I don't know. It's a long time ago now. And also, a lot of my memory pre the kids has been replaced with information about the kids. So
yeah, I don't know. It just rang true to me. Like it rang true. So I wondered if that is something that you had perhaps thought about.
I think it's the sort of thing I think about a lot anyway.
Right. Cool.
You know me and my views on Sartre and Camus. You know that I think this is a meaning.
I'm just nodding my head off going, come on, bring it on. Because I fucking do know this shit.
I enjoyed your support in this section of the series.
Thanks.
Universe.
Yeah.
And that people that say everything happens for a reason are
Fantasists.
yeah. I mean, that's just how I think.
Yeah.
But maybe there is meaning if we make it ourselves.
I think so.
Is that something you actually think in real life?
Yes.
Because I do too.
Yeah. I think we are in a meaningless universe. There's no actual meaning in the universe apart from that which we make.
Yeah.
And
Interesting, because that's exactly what I would, if somebody was to ask me what is my philosophical perspective on existence on this planet, that is the sort of thing that I would say. Not that it's meaningless, that meaning, we have to make the meaning.
yes.
Because otherwise it is just a bundle of chemistry, poing, ding, you exist, the stars explode, there's the Big Bang, there's all sorts of atoms colliding, and then, in 19 whatever, those two atoms collided and made me, and made, you know what I mean? It's kind of random, isn't it?
I think so. But I think in this scene, I think my character is torn between this sort of existentialist belief he's always had, and then wanting to believe that things happen for a reason. And this does reflect me, and we'll come on to it, but the discussion of the kind of the self-help motivational statements. There's part of me that thinks, well, that's just silly. Why do none of my successful friends share these motivational statements on Facebook? But there's also like, well, it's nice. It's encouraging.
Yeah.
I'm torn as a character and as a person.
Why this bit rings so true though, because like all of this, as I was listening to it, going, oh, this is true, this is all this just I imagine that this is what Stu thinks.
Yeah, it's exactly what I think.
Well, bingo. Cool.
And maybe I can't make myself say it. Go on, you nihilist, you. Just say it.
I had no idea where you were going at this point. I was like, what the heck? What's this fucking thought? I don't understand that. So all I could do was just support with, go on, say it, you nihilist, because obviously your belief system's slightly nihilistic. But it's like, just say it. But as an improviser, I was going, oh, please just say it, because I am lost right now. I don't know where you're going.
I feel that I did know where I was going, but it felt really in character. I love the idea that your character regularly accused my character of being a nihilist, and it kind of been a running name or joke or something like that. So that felt very real. It did. It rang true. Like, yeah, it felt like that as well to me. I thought she's always calling him that. She's always saying, "Oh, you nihilistic bugger." Pull yourself together. But yeah. This was so interesting. Like literally, as an improviser, I was going, "Oh shit! I don't know where he's going. I'm lost." But my character was going, "Go on, I know exactly what you're saying." I think I did know, well, as far as I ever know where I'm going. I think because I'd introduced the topic, at some level, I obviously wanted to talk about it and I had thoughts about it. So I don't think I was as worried as you were.
No, I think you completely knew what you were doing. It's just that I didn't know what you were doing at that point.
I mean, if I say it, I become one of those people that have live, laugh, love on their wall. I feel it's a slippery slope.
It is a slippery slope, but we're never ever going to have live, life, love on the wall. Never.
I know, but we said we were never going to be parents, and we are.
I just thought
that's good. That's good, isn't it?
Sorry, but yes, that was a great little stitch there. You just stitched those two pieces of fabric together right there, and it was just, when you said that, I was like, oh, thank God, because I was so relieved, because I was like, oh my God, that's just such a brilliant, just a brilliant stitch in the fabric. And I was relieved because it helped join the dots, join the dots in the scene. Yeah.
Yes, because otherwise we could have been going off. We'd had this bit and now we were having this bit, but we connected the bits. So
it was a great move.
But having a poster on your wall with a trite, cliched phrase is kind of different
from being a parent. Bringing a child into the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. You are right. You have noticed the difference between the two things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
see, that was really nice because it was just like a little joke, like the two characters. Again, it just felt like that this was a shared laugh that they'd had probably many times. You know what I mean? Where I don't know. She called him out on, it is slightly different, and then both of them having a laugh about that. It felt genuine, like they've been here before as a couple. I don't know if that's what you thought.
Yeah, and I think he is aware of his own ridiculousness.
Yeah, yeah.
Much like I am.
Yeah. And then it moves into this really nice moment here. Like, I think there's a moment here when, I don't know about you, but I am thinking, I have no idea what's coming next. I was like, we'd had a little laugh and a joke about all of that stuff and the trite things on the wall and la la la, laugh, laugh, laugh. And then I was like, and now there's a really strange hiatus. That's what I was thinking. But I don't know if you were panicking there, or not panicking, but like, were you unsure?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just nice to have the kind of the upbeat. It felt slightly strained laughter. There was a slight kind of manicness to it, I felt, for both of us. It's like we're in this really stressful situation and we're sort of laughing a bit more about this than perhaps we should do. Mm-hmm. But I think that was fine. I don't think I knew where we were going, but I think I felt confident about where we were going to go.
Okay, that's so cool, because I think the next thing you say is it just brings it home again. I think, if I can remember.
Go on. You said you were going to say something, and you were.
I mean, they're just
here.
Everything's going to change.
Ping! I just think that's so good, because like you took your time in thinking there. What was going on in your head there?
I think from the character's point of view, he'd been thinking about what was happening, and up until this point, he'd said everything that he'd thought about, and now he was into thinking new things. So I think that's why there was a pause, because I think he was thinking about what he thought, what he was going to say next.
Mm. And I really enjoyed that. I thought, as I was watching you doing it, I was like, oh, Stu's got something here, thank God, because I've got nothing. That's what I was literally thinking. I thought, I've got nothing. I don't know. I don't know what the next thing is. But because you took your time, I guess we gave each other space just here to kind of like figure out the next kind of pivot, really. But I'm so thankful that you came up with what you came up with, you found the pivot in that space, and I'm so grateful for that, because I had nothing. Didn't have a clue. But you bring it back to the heart right here. Again, you hold the heart of it right here.
Yeah.
I'm sad about that.
Yeah, you said
because
about
because I think what we've got is really great. And in the past,
it was about change.
Tried to hold on to it.
It was about change, wasn't it? You said everything's going to change. I think
yeah.
Tightly, it was like sand. And sometimes when you try and hold on to things tightly, you see, this is why I'm worried about the live, life, love thing.
So what was the laugh? Why are you laughing there?
So I think that really symbolises both my as a person and the character's conflict. Because on the one hand, what he's saying there is super cheesy and you could see it on a poster, but it's also true. And I think that sums up both sides of both his character and indeed my character. It's like Sting. If you love something, set it free, which is both cheesy and true.
Which fed nicely into the idea of trite things on the wall. And like, I remember one time I was in a rehearsal for a play that I was in, and the director said something like, the thing about cliches is that they're true. And that's why they're a cliche, because often cliches are true. So, you know, if you love someone, let them go, or time passes quickly through the fingertips. They're all cliches, but they're actually all true as well. So I guess that's what you're getting at.
Yes.
Why? What?
Because now I'm talking about how, like, if you try and hold on to sand too tight, it slips through your fingers and you're just going to... I don't want to be that person.
Babe, I think you're overthinking it.
What makes you laugh there?
I think it's because it tells us a lot about their relationship. It's like, calm down, mate. It's all right. Just like you're letting your mind run away with yourself again. I don't know. It's a very funny line now. It's like he's bearing his soul to you. He's like, he's really being vulnerable here. Yeah, I just think you're thinking about it too much, mate. But it's done like so sweetly and so lovingly. It's just like really fits with the characters. This isn't the first time she's had to put up with this sort of behaviour, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got that sense as well. Like, this isn't the first time that his character is unraveling over stuff that's like he's in a fucking rabbit warren here in his head. You know what I mean? Go on.
It's just interesting to compare. At the beginning of the scene, he was super clear. Yes, this is good. This is what I want. And now, I think for the first time, he's properly thinking about it, and his whole life is unraveling in front of him.
Yeah, it is a bit of a he's spiraling into a rabbit warren of stuff. About change and time slipping through your fingers and trite things on the wall. I think and it's so interesting because at this point, as an improviser, I was still a bit lost here. I was still going, I don't know what to do with it. Like, this has gone off piste. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It's traveling and it's slightly off piste. And how do I get it back on the track? And so the only thing that I could think of to get you back on, or get the character back on track, is just to cut through all of that crap and say, babe, you're overthinking it.
That's not the first time she's said that to him.
Yeah.
And she's been right every time.
It was a dual role there, because one, as an improviser, I was like, I want to get this scene back on track.
I did not receive that message at all, by the way.
I think you did, because we'll see what your response to that is next. But I think on the one hand, as an improviser, I was going, let's get back to some heart stuff here, because we'd gone off a little bit. And so it's so nice to go off, but like, let's get back on. And then, so partly it was that, and partly I had nothing else to say. Like I didn't know what else to do with it. So it was like, just stop overthinking things. Let's get back to the real deal. But you're right. The character has obviously said that countless times. It rang true.
Yes.
Overthinking it, honestly. Like, time passes, sand does slip through your fingers.
If you hold it tightly, if you hold it loosely.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's also holding something tight is something that also makes us feel secure.
So yeah, I was quite pleased with myself here, because I was still a little bit like, shit, how do I bring this back to us? Like, how do I bring this back to the deal? You know, the deal is she's going to keep the baby. How do I bring it back to the deal? And I was just so glad that just came out. I think it's the image of sand and holding things loosely was such a beautiful image that's what I was seeing in my mind, like about holding something loosely, but I actually holding things tight does make us feel secure. So really that's just a true statement about me, like what I actually think. And then also, but it just fitted with the characters because they're just about to be parents. So the one thing you have to do is make your babies feel safe. That's your number one.
Hold on to them tightly. Don't hold on to them loosely.
Yeah, you'll drop them.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but like that sense of security and safety is what one needs to have if you're raising children. You need them to feel safe. So in a way, that kind of metaphor just sprung into my mind. And on the one hand, I was like, shit, I'm trying to bring it back to us. And then on the other hand, oh, this works.
It's like my character's infected yours with his kind of like metaphors about life.
Yeah. It's cool.
That's right.
Like you're on the same team, and us versus the world and all of that stuff kind of thing.
Yeah.
Makes you feel safe.
Us against let's not like that.
No, I don't want any trite.
And that was so cool. Like us against the world is like a cliche, and they just brought it back to the game. Like you said, us against the, you know, it was just a really nice bringing it back to the game thing.
Cliches on the wall.
Us against the world.
Us against the world. Live, life, love. Time is like sand slipping through the fingertips. We don't need all that on the wall. We don't need no.
No, it's not that on the wall.
But we can still hold tight to each other and you know, just be a team with our number 3 that will be here in about 7 months.
And I think I was worried about losing what we had, and so it's like if you love someone, set them, I'm doing it again.
Oh, trite. If you love someone, set them free.
Doing it again.
You are doing it again. Okay.
What is happening to me?
I don't know what's happening to you, but I do. Why don't you just get it all out of your system now?
There was a really cool. This kind of section really is like such an interesting section in a way, because I don't know what you thought. Did you think did you feel lost here, or were you no?
I felt that these were his reactions to what was happening. So all of this, I didn't feel lost. Maybe that indicates that I'm a less good improviser. Maybe I should have felt lost. It felt fine.
No, that's great. I was just interested because what's really nice about what's happening is that your character is spiraling and her character is trying to reassure. So like if this was a text, if this was a script and I was an actor approaching this role, the intentions and objectives behind this section would be Emma tries to reassure Stu, you know, like that would be, that's because that's what is what is actually going on, is like you're like freaking out and I'm just going, babe, you're overthinking it, or it's going to be fine, we need to be a team, we need to work together, we need to create safety, you know, all of this, while he's going, yeah, but what about, oh my God, fingertips and time.
And what's interesting about this point is you'd almost set me up for a game of listing trite statements.
Yeah.
I got nothing. So that's why we kind of moved away from it for a bit, because I'm like, I've used all the ones I've got up now. But we circled back around to it. So I think that was fine. But I was like,
that's so fun for me to hear that, because I just thought, okay, yeah, if this is where we're at in our scene, let's just get it all out now. So it was a slight kind of like it was a slight setup for you to kind of list a load of trite thingies, and it was a slight curveball as well as a slight like, go on then, Stu, play this game if you want to play this game. It was a bit like that.
yeah.
But what was so fun was like, because I didn't know that you had nothing, of course. But because you had nothing, I think it led to the next beat, which was more about us, I think, rather than cliche stuff. It was more about the us. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's a good job I'm not a better improviser.
I don't know what you mean. I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, if you'd known other trite stuff, then you would have listed it and it would have been a fun game. And then we would have got back to us anyway.
Yeah.
But because you didn't have any more trites up your sleeve, no trites here, it led us back to us sooner than we would have got there anyway. So either way, it's a win-win.
Like, let's come up with all the trite, cliched phrases and quotes that we can possibly think of, and just get it all out there.
Look at the fear in my eyes. Look at the fear in my eyes. Look at the fear in my eyes when you try and get me to do that. That's not happening.
It's so fun. I love that. I just loved. It was a setup. I was going to go. Okay, go on then, Stu.
It was fun. I enjoyed being set up, but I also enjoyed navigating out of the setup as well.
And isn't that interesting? Because how you navigate out of it is so nice. It's just so lovely.
We do that.
We'll always know who we are. You'll know. Yeah, that's.
We'll be different. But that's what I'm saying. I'm excited about that. I'm
good.
I'm excited to be a dad.
That's how you got out of that panic mode of, I don't know any trite sentences. How you got out of it was to come and bring it back to us.
There you are.
Yeah, there you go. Here's my feelings.
Yes, have those. I've forgotten I said that. That's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really, really good move. Like, when in doubt, say how you feel. And like, that's exactly what you did. Was that part of, like, did that ring true for you? It felt true when you said it. Is that like a true reflection on your own experience?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I'm excited to be a mum. I'm excited that you are going to be the dad. I'm going to parent with you.
Yes.
I got into a tiz there because I was like, I'm excited to be a mum, and I'm excited, and I didn't know how to say. And I'm excited that you're. I think what I wanted to say was that I'm excited you're the dad, but that sort of implies that is a possibility that it might not have been you. Like, it could have been a different dad, and I didn't want that ambiguity either. So then I just got into a pickle about it.
So that was funny, and yes, that line did suggest that, but nothing in the scene up until this point had established that was in any way a possibility. So yeah, there was that thought had occurred to me. I'm like, okay, I wonder where we're going now. I'm glad we're not going that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I just fumbled over the line without it. I couldn't find a way of saying it without it sounding ambiguous.
Or I might have been the dad, but you were going to bring up the child on your own,
or with somebody else.
None of this had been supported by what happened so far.
That's true. That is true. I think I'm overthinking that moment.
But T,
do, yeah. And the team will be slightly bigger now.
Yeah. And here's one for the wall, right? The only permanent thing in life is change.
Wow, that's deep.
That's Socrates.
That's Socrates.
It's either Socrates or Plato or Aristotle. It's one of them.
All true. And then she remembers. I think she remembers it's not them. It's Heraclitus.
But I love the...
No, it was Heraclitus.
Go on. Did you say something?
I was just going to say I love the confidence that she said that, and then she backtracked to who it was.
That's genuinely me. That's genuinely Emma going, oh shit, no, who was it? Because it was definitely one of them. I think it was. Anyway.
And it was super lovely because we'd had Socrates, we had Plato, who, you know, most people have heard about. But Heraclitus, that's a bigger, you know, that's a deeper cut. You know, that's really lovely. So she does know what she's talking about after all.
Yeah, that's a philosophy major. That's me as a philosophy major trying to crawl out of my brain which Greek philosopher said the only permanent thing in life is change, because it was definitely one of them. But I'm literally trying to scrape it out of the back of my head. But so I must look that up, because now I'm even doubting it was Heraclitus. I know that Heraclitus said something like you never step in the same river twice, because the flow of the water, like because it's always changing, you're never going to step in the same river twice, because it would already have moved. So I think that's why I think the only permanent thing in life is change comes from Heraclitus, because he talked about impermanency. Anyway, I'll shut up about philosophy now.
Love it. No, I feel like I'm laughing and learning. Mainly learning.
Love it.
Love his work.
Love his work.
What's this? What's this?
What are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing?
I don't know. I'm just pointing at you, talking about it. It's a fun move. I don't normally do that very often. Especially not to philosophers.
What I loved about that was like, it's just it's like, yeah, love him, even though you like, you know that your character doesn't know anything about Heraclitus, but I love the bravado of that. Yeah, love his work. Somebody said that was their favorite line in the whole scene. Like somebody wrote in the comments, Heraclitus, love his work, is the best line of the scene, which I tend to agree.
His. I mean, we could have that on the wall. Heraclitus, he, her, said the only life is change.
I mean, I love, you're so forward thinking, and that's brilliant. Are we going to find out? We're gonna get a scan. Are we gonna find out? I mean, it doesn't matter, obviously.
Cool. Yeah. So talk me through this moment. What are you thinking there then? Because it was a lovely pivot back into the us.
I think that was it. I think I was aware that we're going off and we're having fun with the philosophy, and then we need to come back to us, and then we can go off and have the philosophy and come back. I think I was aware of that kind of wave motion that we were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I was trying to remember, when I was at this stage in my life, you know, what were the big things? Oh yeah, scan. Yeah. Yeah,
it was a lovely move that, because the Heraclitus he/she thing must have triggered that thought in your brain of like, oh, now we can talk about scans, gender, and all of that, which brings it back to the us, which is so cool. And then because you said that, I that seeded the idea that I'd already had the scan and that I already knew. So yeah, it was a good move.
I've got a confession. I paid to get a scan on Tuesday because I knew we were having this chat, and I was worried, of course, that you were going to say you didn't want it, and I needed to know what the sex of the baby was, because I thought if I had to say goodbye to it. I didn't want to call it it. I wanted to call it he or her, because that would help me let it go and say goodbye and accept the reality and all of that. I know you look pretty shocked.
You had a scan without me?
Yeah, but it was just, for me, really, not
Did you want to
as a horrible thing. It was more like, I need to know.
Did you want to talk about that?
Just want to say, look at that acting. Look at that acting that I'm doing there. Look at that sad face. Look at that big, sad, expressive face that I've got.
It was pretty genuine though, right? Because like that was a progression. Like you drop, as you were just giving me space to get out my thought. You were having an emotional reaction.
Yes. I think it connected to what I wanted. Was, yes, I think this couple are brilliant and I want them to live happily ever after, but they're not perfect. They're not perfect together. They have flaws. And just as my character was shocked that you thought I wouldn't want to keep the baby, my character was hurt that you'd made this choice without me. And it just wanted that little bit of darkness in there.
Yeah.
Just to make it feel richer.
Yeah. I think that totally did the job. Like there's a nuance within the dynamic.
Yeah.
She has done something without him. But I guess, she had her own reasons, which she explained fully as well. But I thought that was lovely that when I finally stopped talking and noticed you, I could see that you were sad. So then I just called it out.
Yeah, that was a really nice move.
Because I thought you were going to say no. So I just needed to know.
Okay. I would have liked to have been there for that.
There's another one, NHS. I mean, I paid for this one privately. There's the NHS one is next Wednesday.
Okay, well, obviously I'll be there for that.
You want to know?
All right.
Yeah. It's all going to...
Anything you want to say?
Yes, it's great they're going to this NHS one on Wednesday. Still hurts. But beautiful, juicy thing in the scene. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. I like the way that your character just went, okay. Like you'd made it, like the character has made a decision that, okay, I'm not going to push this right now because there's a bigger picture. I don't know, the picture thing.
In the scheme of things, it's not important, and it's going to hurt him, and he's going to carry that hurt for a while, but he's not going to put it on her, and he's going to deal with it in his own way. Yeah.
It's just so interesting because all of that is registered like in that tiny little, okay. That tiny little okay is like all of that, what you've just said is complete in that tiniest moment. It's just really complex.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay.
Do you want to know? I've got the photograph here.
You've got a photograph without me?
Yeah.
So he's still annoyed. He's excited, but it's like, you got a scan. That's bad enough you did that with me. You got a photograph.
Yeah.
And there's so many conflicted emotions, I think, there. He's excited. He wants to see the photograph, but he's like, I really would have liked to have been there when the photograph was taken.
Yeah. It's I think that's conveyed as well. Like it's like, poor fella, actually. I mean, he's having to deal with a lot in these two moments, really. Like she's just gone off and done her own thing. But at the same time, he's excited. He does want to know.
I think with his head, he thinks, okay, what she has done is logical, and he understands and he accepts it. But his heart is like, oh.
Yeah. Did the second scan on the next Wednesday or whenever it was, that doesn't make up for it? Bless him.
But that gives the scene weight. So I loved it. But
It's so much. It is new. It's so complex, isn't it? Like, I think this is why this scene resonated so well on, like, in the comments and the feedback from it, is because there is so much complexity within little small moments that are underplayed and undercut, you know, that just delicate, but people watching it have really responded to the complexity of this.
Yes, no, we've had a lovely reaction to this, definitely. Thank you everyone for commenting.
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's just standard practice in the scan. It's standard practice.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'd love to see.
Okay, here you go. Take it.
Wow.
Just looks like a bit of a blob, doesn't it? It's a bit swirly whirly.
They're beautiful. That's inside you. That's really, you're really clever. How do you like, really, you're growing somebody inside you. That's really weird.
Mad, isn't it?
Amazing.
Yeah.
How to do that?
I don't know. I think that's just comes with the genes.
I love all that moment. That all just rang true to me. Like, I believe that's what you really believe. I think that's what you genuinely think, and you might have even said that in your life before, you know. So we'll certainly support it.
I've certainly thought it. Perhaps I've kept those thoughts inside my head because sometimes people might not wish to hear that. But yeah, no, I entirely think that. I think, wow, that's amazing and weird.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was so lovely just to hear that as well, like just the character to the character, like, because I think it enabled the characters just to come to some sort of resolution over the previous, you did that thing without me. That was a slightly sticky moment for the characters' relationship, I suppose. I mean, it's not insurmountable. It's just like you said, they're not heroic. They are what was the word you used before? Flawed. So they've just negotiated this they're flawed, and they've just negotiated this little sticky moment. But then all of this stuff after that is your character kind of getting excited, I suppose.
Because if we've been doing this in front of an audience, when he expresses his disappointment at not being at the scan, that's when I'd want everyone to lean in, because I hope by this point in the scene, they're really rooting for the characters and they want the happy ending. And just giving them that little bit of doubt just really makes the rest of it, I think, more delightful.
Yeah, the payoff is greater, isn't it? Because, like, yeah.
Because we put their relationship in peril.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
I mean, that's, yeah.
You want to know?
It doesn't matter.
Did you know what I meant when I said that question?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I said it, and then I thought in my own head, I was like, oh shit, is that an ambiguous, like, does he know what I'm talking about? Okay, that's cool.
Yes, I do.
Okay. It's a girl.
Wow. I've had a daughter before. Or a son.
No, of course.
Or any children. Wow. I'll give this back to you. Yeah, I think in the past I was too afraid of losing what we had, and I wasn't really aware of what we could gain.
Yeah. We can gain lots.
I want you to know that you can trust me, and I'm always going to be there for you, and we're going to sort this out.
Great. I'm looking forward.
Yeah, I think for the first time in my life, I'm also looking forward. Oh my God. That's going to, wow. Sorry, the birth. Wow, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, but let's not think too much about that. It's a long way off.
And we can have those.
I really like this This is like a really nice transition from like it's such a nice journey your character went on, really, because like from the top it was great, I want to keep it also, and then it was like spiraling out of control, the panic of the whole thing, and then it was the disappointment that she'd gone to a scan without him, and now it's like the excitement about the future, which is such a nice journey from a nihilist to a futurist. It's like a really nice journey. But I like this section just because it led us back to us. Like I think we had quite a bit of like going off piste kind of stuff, which was nice and needed, but I think we could both sense that it was coming to the end of it was feeling like it was coming to a resolution, this moment in their life. So there was a lot of space, like there was lots of looking at each other and space and listening and pausing and all of that, where this real stuff came, excitement, you're amazing, let's do this, we're a team, like just giving each other space there at the end is really cool, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. Yes, I was enjoying watching us back then. I was like, oh yeah, I really love the pauses that we're both doing.
Yeah, there was so much space given. It was nice. Not enough of that in improv, too much chatting.
Those antenatal classes, the ones where the NCT ones.
Yeah.
We'll make friends like that, and they'll be like our best friends ever because they're going through the whole thing at the same time. And
totally didn't happen.
What didn't happen?
Didn't make best friends for life at the antenatal classes. Great source of disappointment, but never mind.
Yeah, I know a lot of women who went to NCT classes, and maybe of a whole group of 15 women, there's 2 that are pals for life, if that. But yeah. That rang true as well. Did you go to NCT classes? Yeah.
I can't even remember if there were NCT ones now, but we certainly went to some antenatal classes, and we looked around the room and thought, there aren't any lifelong friends here. It sounds awful now I think back to it, but sometimes you can just tell.
You can just tell. I think that like my female friends have said the same thing. It's like there was just no one there that they connected with. And so much of it was like, oh, which type of buggy are you going to buy? And it's all like very materialistic, keeping up with the Joneses, competitive atmosphere, which is just like, ugh.
I'm sure it's very beneficial to many people. However, it wasn't, sadly, not that. It's not my experience.
Yeah.
I don't want to be taking. I'm sure they do a lot of good work.
Yeah. It's just connecting with sometimes you connect with people and sometimes you don't.
Very true.
Yeah.
I'll decorate the utility room, and then oh wow,
now you can see it. Now you're seeing it.
See, what was that moment there? Like, did you actually see it? Like, it felt like really real. Like when you went, oh wow, it's like, did you actually have that realization of all the future and the possibilities of it and stuff?
I think my character did. I think he'd made his decision, but until we'd had this conversation, it hadn't really seemed real. And at this point, this is the point where it seems real.
Yeah, well, it certainly came across like that. Yeah.
Possibility is endless. Look, that's another one for the wall. Possibilities are endless.
I don't want endless possibilities. Endless possibilities frighten me, but
I think that's true of you. Is that right?
I think too much choice is difficult. If there's a very famous example about if you have 10 different types of jam, sales of jam go down because people can't choose. But if you just have 2 or 3 types of jam, people can choose between 2 or 3 different types. So yes, it's true of me.
That's so true. I think it's a really strong point of view. Like, I think your character had a strong point of views throughout, like, the scene. I don't know if you felt that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of improv teachers out there that will talk about how integral point of view is. And I think this scene kind of proves it in a way.
I think he thinks too much. I think he's got a good heart, but but he thinks too much. And thankfully she knows this and she's able to curb his excesses.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe everything will be all right in the end.
I think so. We could put that on the wall.
Put that on the wall. And see.
Cool.
Hey. That was good.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much in it, isn't there? Any final thoughts for the recording?
Thank you for all the gifts that you gave me during that scene. You delighted me at every opportunity, even when you were trying to put me on the spot. That was also delightful. And yeah, thanks to everyone who has commented and liked and everything on the video. It's been lovely to share this. It wasn't, I don't know what you felt, but it wasn't my intention that we would necessarily share this when we recorded it. It was just something that we would do so we could watch it back and see how we've done. But you know, these characters really stayed with me, so I was really happy that we got to share it.
Yeah, awesome. Me too. And I could say the same as well. Thank you for a great scene. It was delightful.